As we have aimed to deploy our Node.js backend code to Heroku, you can type Heroku in Google and select the first search result. Heroku is a cloud platform as a service supporting several programming languages, and creating an account in Heroku is quite simple, easy, and free. You can sign up and register yourself. As I have already created my account, so I'm gonna press log in, provide my email address and the password, press log in. All right, so I'm logged in. Another thing you need to install is Heroku CLI. Heroku CLI is the command line for Heroku. You can install it based on your operating system. If you're a Mac or a Unix user, you can select these options. As I'm using it in Windows, so I'm gonna scroll down and install it through npm. As I have installed Node and Node installs npm in my machine, I'm gonna install it globally. Copy this code, come to backend, and paste it in the terminal. Press enter. Of course, it will take some time, so you have to wait for it a few seconds. Good, so I have installed the Heroku CLI. To check the version, Heroku minus or dash V, which will tell us about the version. So I have installed this version. Now we need to log into Heroku CLI. So I'm going to type Heroku login. We can type any key except Q in order to take us to the browser. Here we are, and press login. So we are logged in. If we come to the terminal, it is said logged in as Bashir Irshad. In order to deploy our app to Heroku, first we need to add our source code to a Git repository. What is Git? I will cover it in the next few seconds. Git is a very powerful and popular version control system used by almost 99% of the projects today in the world. We can actually put our code in Git and see what changes has become over time. We can see who changed what and when. You can learn more about Git in git-scm.com. This is the official site for Git, and you can also download the proper version for your operating system. As a developer, you must know about Git, and Git have to be installed in your machine. I don't want to talk more about Git because that would be beyond the scope of this video. So you have to download Git for your local machine, which will be used in the process of deployment. Once you have downloaded and installed Git in your machine, you can type in terminal git dash dash version to see its installed version. In my machine, 2.21 version is installed. Now let's create .git ignore file. .git ignore. This is just an extension and it doesn't have any name. In the .git ignore file, we tell Git that it should ignore the node modules, this folder, node underscore modules, and we have to put a trailing slash after it, save it, and come back to our terminal. Type git init. This will initialize a repository for us. Press enter. Type git add dot to add all the files. and now commit. So type git commit -m, which is used for message initial commit, or you can also specify any other message that you prefer and press enter. So as you can see here, 2 files changed, 4 insertions and 7 deletions. All the files are committed to our repository except the Git Ignore file, which contains node modules. Now to create a Heroku repository, we can write here Heroku create, which will create an app for us. As you see, Heroku created a folder for us, which is named Fatmolis Water with this ID. This is the link of the folder for us. And this is the link of the Git repository where our folder will be placed. Now let's see if we have a folder created with fathomless waters. Open our Heroku. Here it is. Let's see if we have the folder. So we have a project named fathomless waters. It is created. Now let's create an environment variable for our Heroku app. As we have this connection string in our backend, but Heroku does not know this string. Instead, Heroku can work with environment variables. So we have to create an environment variables for our app. Click this folder, come to settings, scroll down, and reveal config vars. Here we can provide the key and the value. I'm going to provide a key, for example, to_db, and the value will be this connection string. I'm going to copy this, Control C, and bring it here. Add this environment variable. Now we need to configure environment variables for our production and development stage. To do so, I have installed a node module called config with 2 files, default.json, which contains the db environment variable, which will be used in my development stage, and the custom environment variable.json file will contain the db environment variable that I will use in the production. As you saw earlier in the Heroku, I added an environment variable called to_do_db. So I'm going to write that here and press Ctrl S. Now to import these files into my main index.js file, I have to require the config module. Get rid of this password and write const db assign a variable config.get. Get is a method which enables us to access our environment variables. After that, instead of all this long connection string, I can simply write db. Save the changes. Another thing we need to do is in package.json. Instead of nodemon, we have to write node, because Heroku cannot work with nodemon, and that can work with node only. So save the changes, come to the terminal and add all the changes to Git. And now commit the changes with a message changed something extra. But you can also write a very meaningful message. Now tell the Git to push the Heroku, our master. This will push our code to Heroku. It failed. Let's try once again. Okay, so we are deploying our code to Heroku. the files are uploaded and they are compressing. To make sure that we have uploaded all our files and there are no bugs and errors, we can write Heroku open. As you can see, cannot get slash. Now we need to change something in the URL. Just write API slash to do, press enter, and there you go. We have all the data that we had in our MongoDB Atlas. We have to save this URL, which will be used as an API URL in our front-end React.js code. So let's start deploying our front-end React.js code to Firebase.